Right now I am looking at subtracting with mixed numbers. This is day 7, page 2, and I'm all the way down at the bottom looking at number 10. Okay, the problem is 6 2/5 minus 3 3/4. The first thing you always do when you're adding or subtracting fractions is you list out the multiples of each of the denominator to find a common denominator. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make a little t-chart right here, and I'm going to do it horizontally this time. I'm going to list out 5 and 4. And I know 5 times 1 and 4 times 1 is equal to that, so I'm going to start with times 2. 5 times 2 is 10, and 4 times 2 is 8. Now I'm going to multiply them both by 3. 5 times 3 is 15, 4 times 3 is 12. I'm going to multiply them both by 4 now. 5 times 4 gives me 20. 4 times 4 gives me 16. Let's multiply them both by 5. I don't have a common denominator yet, so I'm going to have to keep going. 5 times 5 is 25. 4 times 5 is 20. Now you can stop and ask yourself, do I have a common denominator yet? The answer is yes. 20 is your common denominator. So I know that I'm going to have to multiply 5 up here times 4. I'm going to go ahead and write that up here, times 4 times 4 to get 20 as my denominator. What I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. Same thing over here. How many times did I multiply 4 by itself to get 20? Well, I multiplied 4 times 5 to get 20. So what I do to the bottom, I'm going to have to do to the top, times 5 over 5. Let's write our new problem down here with multiplying. So 6 and 2 times 4 is 8. 5 times 4, our denominator is 20, minus 3 and 3 times 5 is 15, 4 times 5 is 20. All right, now I would say go ahead and subtract this to get your final answer, but I've seen an issue here. I cannot subtract 8 minus 15. That would give me a negative number. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to borrow from this 6, this whole number 6, so that I can create a bigger number as the numerator so that I can subtract it from 15. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this 6 and I'm going to break it up, and I'm going to turn this 6 into 5. I'm going to borrow and turn it into 20 over 20. 5 and 20 over 20 is the same thing as 6, because 20 over 20 is the same thing as 1 whole, and I use 20 because that's my denominator here. But I still have this 8 right here, so I'm going to have to add 8 to this number, because I can't forget about that 8 right there. So my number is 5 and 28 20ths. You don't have to worry that this is an improper fraction right now. In this situation, it's good, because now I have a bigger number down here that I can actually subtract from 15. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract 5 and 28 20ths minus 3 and 15 20ths. Okay, now I can go ahead and subtract. 5 minus 3 is 2. 28 minus 15 gives me 13, and keep my denominator the same. So my answer is 2 and 13 20ths. The last question you can ask yourself is, can this number 13 and 20 be reduced? It cannot, so this is its simplest form, 2 and 13 20ths.